It's an honor to be here today, even though I got my allergies, so excuse my muffled sound. So my name is Alexandra Kaloulis, and for over a decade, my work has revolved around one question. So how do we stop talking about human error after the fact and start predicting and preventing it before it happens? So in shipping, we have made extraordinary progress when it comes to technical optimization. And I've seen this firsthand with my father's company, Kames, who work on the technical aspect of shipping, where efficiency, precision, and real-time monitoring are the standard. Because ships are more efficient, fuel management is precise, and emissions are tracked in real time. But when it comes to people, our most valuable and vulnerable asset, we're still relying on reactive indicators, as we heard in the first panel. We check for stuff like, did the crew rest? Did they pass training? Do they have the right certificates? And that's compliance, basically, not prediction. So let me ask you, what if human performance, resilience, and psychological safety were measured with the same rigor as fuel or emissions? So that is the future we should all be working towards. And today I want to show you what it will take to get there. So one truth cuts across every industry. KPIs change culture. And think about fuel efficiency. The moment we introduced grams per ton mile as a KPI, it wasn't just a statistic. It became a daily behavior driver. Emissions, the same. Once CO2 became a KPI, decarbonization stopped being rhetoric, and it became part of the business strategy for every company. Even fatigue. When rest hours were logged, companies had to adapt schedules and crewing policies. And that's why in psychology, we say what gets measured gets managed. So the biggest misconception is that human behavior is random. In psychology, we know the opposite. Behavior follows pattern, so it is measurable and it is predictable. Fatigue has been shown to double the likelihood of mistakes. Those are just some examples. Stress narrows our cognition and increases the risk of decision errors by about 50%. The Joint Commission found, I think that was mentioned in the previous discussion as well, the Joint Commission found that around 80% of serious errors in healthcare had miscommunication as the root cause. So the same holds true in shipping and aviation. So if it's measurable, it's predictable. And if it's predictable, it's preventable. And through our pilot study of 41 vessels, I had a same presentation, I believe, last year regarding the pilot, so I'm not going to bore you with that. We had a pilot with 41 vessels and 780 seafarers, both officers and ratings, and we saw how psychosocial risk can be turned into measurable data. So we got role clarity at 96%, job engagement 93%, work relationships at 87%, organizational support 85%, psychological safety, surprisingly enough, 95%, but workload balance lagged at 66%, which is a clear predictor of fatigue-related risk. So the biggest predictor of risk was workload and fatigue, which pulled down the index, the human error predictive index, to 86.5%. Those are some statistics you'll have access later on if you have the presentation. So how does that translate from a psychological point of view? So we had a high role clarity engagement and psychological safety. We had strong relationships on board and organizational backing from the companies and the management. But we had a workload balance which was quite low. And so that showed us that even motivated crews faced fatigue with reduced attention and higher error risk. Another element we cannot ignore is the cross-generational gap, which is now present on many vessels. We had Generation Z and the older generations. What we see is that younger seafarers often value open communication, which was also mentioned earlier, feedback and psychological safety more explicitly, while older generations may lead on hierarchy, tradition, and of course resiliency, which they have built over the years at sea. So without proper support, these differences can create friction, but they can also be an opportunity to see how we can turn that into strength. So the consequences of neglecting these risks are operational. We have higher turnover, we have lower morale, and we have increased near misses. Lloyd's Register in 2022 found that a 2-point increase in well-being scores boosted retention by 5%. We have some more statistics over here because the industry estimates and it puts officer turnover at 25 grand, between 25 and 40 grand per officer. The AMSA stated that 77% of maritime incidents involve human factors, many tied to fatigue, stress, or communication. And studies across shipping and aviation show fatigue can double error risks. Stress narrows attention, and communication breakdowns account for up to 80% of critical incidents. So some strategies the industry can use, because there's no single fix. And I think human readiness requires multiple strategies at once. So we have leadership training, or teamwork training, and open communication, as Mr. Nikita has proposed previously, peer support and mentoring programs, embedding the ISO 45003, which I believe is quite promising, if applied correctly in an organization, especially the shipping industry, fatigue monitoring technology, wearables, which I know that some companies are already using, and structured assessments, which of course I'm an advocate for, because as IMEQ Center, that's what we do. So through psychometrics or psychosocial risk testing, we can use all those strategies to have KPIs. So the 7 pillars of human readiness. Okay, so one way we structure this at IMEQ is through the 7 pillars of human readiness, which you can see over here. And all those 7 pillars, which we collect data from the psychometrics themselves, the testing, we create the predictive index of human error. So by tracking them together, you can detect performance drift before it turns into risk. And let me just, now let me turn the mirror to you, and I want to ask you 3 questions. And I want you to really think about it. Do you know your fleet's readiness index today? Do you measure fatigue beyond rest hours? And can you name the weakest psychosocial domain in your fleet right now? I'm going to leave it to that. I'm not expecting answers, and I don't have a comment to make. Maybe we can talk about it later at the panel. I have examples of some emerging solutions as well, because the good news is that there are new solutions coming up and are pretty promising. We have wearable fatigue trackers. We have bridge workload monitoring systems. We have support hotlines such as ICE1. We have formal mentoring for cadets and junior officers. And we have psychosocial KPIs and health data. Such tool was created, by the way, with IMEQ, between IMEQ and Health for Crew, and we called it Crew Vital, where we combined health data and well-being data, and we turned them into KPIs. But whichever method you use, the process is always the same. So you collect data, whether that's psychosocial, operational, fatigue, workload. You analyze for patterns and anomalies. You act with micro-interventions, such as trainings, rest, coaching, restructuring, and then you have a report readiness as part of your KPI dashboard. The timing, well, is kind of it's critical at this point. You have the IMO fatigue guidelines, you have the MLC amendments, you have the TMSA human factors. So looking ahead, digitalization and AI will increase cognitive load, as Ms. Progulaki mentioned as well. Alarms, data streams, and reporting requirements are multiplying. We have information overload. And we need systems that help crews prioritize, filter, and maintain awareness. So training changed what we know. Culture changed how we behave, and now KPIs will change when we act. So let me close with this. Fuels tell you how far your ship can go. Readiness tells you whether your crew will get it there safely. And this is the single most predictive safety KPI over time. Thank you.